Hello, amateurs, and welcome to our Six Nations series. And I've got Elko with me again today. Elko, how are you?
Hey TT, thanks for having me on. Very excited to speak about the Six Nations.
Great stuff. And in this episode, we are going to be looking at the Welsh team. So before we get into the actual squad in detail, where do you think Wales as a team are at the moment, and what do you think Gatland's going to be trying to achieve during this Six Nations?
Yeah, well, they're in a bit of dire straits, I think, in terms of fit and healthy players and bodies. Plus, a big lot of rugby intellectual property going out the door with some big retirements. It's huge, and I think it's not a bad thing in many ways. I think he's had to look at he's had to go deep into the roster and try and find some new blood to come through. But I think in the long run for Wales, it will be a good thing. I think that these young kids get caps and build on that experience, and then some of the injured players come back in, there'll be a good mix. And if we're looking at the World Cup cycle, as we come into a new one, it's not a bad thing for Wales. And Gatland's timing anyway, as he came in late, it's probably he's got to look at the positives. But they're going to miss a lot of that experience, I think, going into this competition. But hopefully, the future is bright for them.
Yeah, I agree. Their age profile got quite old, didn't it, as a team? And pre-World Cup and now after the World Cup, they've, as you say, they've lost a lot of players. So I think this might well be a tough Six Nations for Wales until they gain that experience that will be desperately needed. So let's dig into the squad. Gatland's picked a 34-man squad, 5 uncapped players, and we'll take a look at the forwards here. Anything that stands out to start off with, Elko? What are you thinking?
Well, I didn't know many of them, if I'm honest, which is wild, right? It was weird. I was trying to think, and I was thinking, well, and captain wise, they picked this young kid, Daff Jenkins, who Gatland spoke very highly of. But that they're missing Jack Morgan, I think, who would have been captain and is ruled out. So for me, again, go back to my point. What stands out is that nothing stands out. But some of the best teams are workmanlike and don't have superstars just yet. They all kind of share the load, and maybe that's what we'll see. It may well suit the way they're going to play anyway, which will be abrasive up front and playing the Gatland style. So it will be tough for them, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, Daff Jenkins is set to become the second youngest ever Welsh captain, if avoiding injury and all that kind of stuff. Do you know who the youngest ever one was?
Who was it?
Sam Warburton.
Oh God! Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
exactly the same thing when I looked it up. I was like, of course it was. Anyway, Daff Jenkins is set to become the second youngest Welsh captain
Wow.
Ever. And when I look at these forwards, I'm looking at the props in particular, and I just see very little experience there in the front row, in the propping ranks in particular. I think they might really struggle there. I think that could be a place where teams target this Welsh team and the Welsh squad. That being said, there's some good, I've been relatively impressed with some of the youngsters coming through. I thought Domachowski did well at the World Cup. But then again, in the back row, there's a lot of inexperience there as well. I think the second row will be fine. It might be, especially if they lose maybe one or two more people, then the depth certainly is really lacking.
Yeah, I mean, the Welsh teams aren't doing particularly well either form-wise, are they? And they're not playing good rugby. I was watching some of the stuff over Christmas, but look, it's a clean slate. They just got to get on with it, and if anyone can, Gatland can squeeze this team and keep it fairly simple. But I think you're right. If a few more hits, a few more injuries, they could be it could be dangerous, at scrum time. So fingers crossed they'll be okay.
Yeah, the third choice prop there, or I'm assuming third choice, the Bath young lad Archie Griffin was apparently born in Australia, but he's enormous. Like he's an absolute giant. So I mean, he hasn't had much game time for Bath, so it's going to be, if he gets in the match day squad, it could be uh, a real tough day at the office for him.
Yeah, and you got it's international rugby that you need some caps under your belt. And it's not like he's going to be. A lot of the other teams aren't in the same boat, right? You look at France and England; they pick some really experienced front rows. Yet to see the Irish team, but that could be a bit. But hey, listen, who knows? Who knows? You got this young kid at Exeter who's everyone raving about, and he's only 2021, and he's killing it at the scrum. So maybe we'll be surprised, and I hope we are.
Yeah, me too, because we want it to be competitive and
Yeah.
yeah, and safe as well, as you said there. Okay, let's take a
Mm.
look at the backs now as well. And what I'm seeing here is a pretty um there's some decent experience here in the backs. It's not, not everybody's got experience, but there's some good players there that they can build a back line around, particularly I'd say at scrum half, which is where it all starts. So what stands out for you though, Elko? What players are you
Yeah,
looking at?
I agree that they've got some experienced guys. They can sort of hang some stuff on. Obviously, George North jumps out, and again he stays fit. They'll be okay in the back line. I mean, and again, you're right, at nine they've got heaps of experience there, and skill, and should go well. Um, I guess a lot will be with confidence as well. If they can get some bloody ball up front, and then get some momentum and string some phases, then I think they'll be okay. But it's when things start to go wrong, and you don't have maybe the usual faces around. And George North is looking around, and I'm sure I mean, he's an exceptional character, and I'm sure he can stand up and help these guys pull through. But you just don't know until you're whacked in the face, and see what happens. Who have they got first? Is it Scotland?
Yeah, it is Scotland at home. Yeah.
Yeah, it's if people have listened to the previous one we did on Scotland, they've got a fierce backline, so that could be. They'll have to play well, and defend well. So let's see. But as I said, look, in the long run, they're going to have to go through some pain. I think short term, long run, I think this will stand to Wales, and we might discover some apps. Wales traditionally have got super talented backline players, so we may unearth some people here, and I hope we do.
Yeah, the big question, I guess, in the Wales backline is who's going to play fly half, and I would really like to see them go with Sam Costello. I think that when he's played previously, he's shown just tons of confidence, and he's looks like he's happy to go and play and trust himself. And I think that's probably what Wales will need more than anything.
Yeah, I think if you're Gatland, you just got to build a team around him, and say, look, it doesn't matter how you play, we're going to crack on. When he made that slight mistake at the end of the World Cup there, but he's a quality player, and again, he's one of the kids I think who could go on, and if they can give him the confidence and just say, just play, just play well, obviously stick to game plan. Um, I would agree with you. I think he needs to play, and let's build a Welsh team around him and go for it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, that is Wales. Any final thoughts? How do you think they're going to go based on this
Whoa,
squad selection?
whoa!
Any kind of change of game plan or anything? How do you
Are
feel?
we not going to talk about the elephant in the room?
Oh, a good point. People who aren't in the backs of this Wales team. Anyone in particular you're thinking of?
Well, this new American football NFL star, oh mate, what is going on? What is he doing?
Why don't you
You know,
like it?
you know, I'm
What do you
upset
think?
about this. Well,
I
I just
do.
don't
Why don't you
understand
like
this.
it?
I just don't get. I don't. I think there's something going on. Why on earth would Gloucester let him leave halfway through the season when they're in the shit and they need him financially? They need him to get people through the door and buy stash, and they need him on the pitch. Why would they just say, "Oh yeah, go for it"? Yeah, you spoke to the NFL on Sunday, and you're telling us 3 days later and you're going to go on their pathway. No, no, it's who is advising him. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Danny Cipriani is his new agent or something, but it stinks. There's something. Why would he suddenly walk away from Gloucester and Wales half? It was the end of the season. I'd get it. I'd kind of go, okay, I kind of understand what's going on. Maybe there's something contractually if he plays for Wales, but I think something's happened in the background and that we probably can't talk about, and he can't talk about, and it will be hush hushed. Is my
I
thinking.
feel like it's yeah, I feel like it's a lot more simple than that, and I just think that these opportunities come around
But
very
hang on,
quickly
what
at a certain time of
opportunity?
year for the NFL.
What do you
Well,
mean?
protect.
It's not an opportunity. You could listen.
Well, it is.
There's kids getting on that path. It's not. There are kids getting on that pathway all of the time. It's not this. It to do what they're gonna. He's gonna have to go to America, and he's gonna have to sit and learn a playbook for a year. He won't play any football. I bet you. The same as the young kid that went from England sevens. I can't remember his name. Brilliant player, and I think he went to Patriots maybe, and he sat with them, and he's played a couple of games in preseason, but he's never made the roster ever. I think he's been there 5 years. And obviously Wade was another one who was. I mean, he would have way more potential than I think Lewis would, just because of the way he's built, and his footwork and everything else. I'm a massive fan of American football. I just find it absolutely. He's gonna he's not gonna play in his first year. He might play in his second year, and then if everything went well and something really weird happened, okay, he might play. So he'll be 25 when he plays. It's 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 odd. It's really odd. And then you've got to remember in America, they've got their college football is bigger than NFL, right? In every way. You look in NFL, you look at the peak, right? But in terms of numbers of players and the skill level, the strength and conditioning, it is on the money is bigger than NFL. It's unbelievable. So I just don't see how he can have never played for 22 years. And you've got all these other kids who've been playing since they're 8. I just don't see how it can happen unless he hasn't shown anything to me on the rugby pitch that I've gone, oh my god, he is the best player ever to play the game. Like a Jason Robinson, potentially, who you just go, whoa, he is awesome. I think he's a brilliant player, rugby player, but I don't get it. Sorry, I've gone off on one, but I just think it's weird. I just think it's really weird. It's odd.
Well, look, I agree with a lot of what you've said, but I just think he's probably thinking slightly differently. He sees it as a life opportunity, not necessarily as an opportunity to, actually play in the NFL. Obviously, the chances of that happening are minuscule, absolutely minuscule. They really are. But the opportunity to live overseas, to play a different sport, which apparently he's been very passionate about from a young age. He's already achieved a lot in rugby. He's an international. He's played for the Lions already. I think if he was going to do it any time, I think now is the time to do it. So that in that, I would say there's a defense, and if it doesn't work out, then he can easily come back to rugby. I think any team would be happy to have him in 3 years' time. He's still going to have a lot of life left in his legs. And in terms of the Gloucester thing, I'm really interested in that part because I feel it's strange that they just let him go. I wonder if there's some kind of payment going the other way. That doesn't seem like player pathway kind of a thing to me. But I mean, it's good of the club if they have just agreed to do that, or maybe they kind of got decent wing options and they feel like having a bit more salary cap space might suit them for the second half of the season.
I think I would imagine there's some journalists doing some digging. That's all I'm going to say. Maybe. Listen. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he plays in a NFL franchise and wins MVP and wins a Super Bowl. That would be. I really do. It'd be absolutely amazing. But it would be the greatest story in sport. I'm not exaggerating. It would be the greatest story in American sport if someone did that. The amount of people that have tried to do it, it's just unbelievable. And I hope I eat my words and this comes back to haunt me. But it's I mean, there could be something in it that they're getting, but I just don't see how what the NFL would pay. Why would the NFL pay? They've got hundreds of him. They do. So I don't
Yeah,
understand why they paid
yeah.
him.
I think,
Look,
yeah.
maybe yeah, sponsors. Maybe it's sponsors. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're agreed on some things there, slightly different maybe on the others. But let's bring it back to Wales now. It's a team that Lewis
Sorry.
Rees-Zammit won't be playing for the next 3 years, at the least. How do you think? Do you think they're going to change the way they play, the way Gatland sets teams up based on this squad selection?
No, I don't think they can. I think they've got to help this squad as much as possible. So really, a simple game plan that they can follow, and when things go off the rails, they can go back to quite easily. Then fair play. So you know, Costello might bring something. He likes to play off piste a little bit, but I see them being quite recognisable in that way. And again, that's a good thing, but it's a bad thing as well, because I think defence coaches at that level have worked that out slightly, and it means that you have to have a very physical, combative pack that can deal with a defence that knows what you're going to do to get momentum and get gain line. And whether they have that, I think, as we spoke about earlier, I don't think they potentially do with the squad they picked. But I think they'll play a fairly recognisable style of play, and I think they have to. I think it would be crazy for them to come out and start chucking the ball around and try and play like a Northampton Saints to pick a team who's playing some attacking rugby at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. And I just think it's going to be potentially a tough Six Nations for Wales. It's definitely feels like a bit of a rebuild at the moment, and they're going to have to
Yeah.
get some experience into those young players as soon as possible. But you people at home, what do you think? What do you think about the Lewis Rees-Zammit thing in particular? Because that's definitely split several nations, I think, in terms of how people feel about that. How do you think Wales are going to go? Are there any players that we haven't mentioned that you think really are important selections? Let us know in the comments down below, and give this video a thumbs up while you're down there if you don't mind, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on all the future episodes. Elko, thanks very much.
Cheers, TT. Speak soon.
And those at home, get out and play.